Welcome to the Twisted Tentacle Inn. I'm your Innkeeper Vase Odin, and today we'll be discussing Akachi Onyele, the shaman. Akachi spoke with imaginary friends from a young age. The village shaman noticed that she had an ability to speak with spirits and took her under his wing, teaching her everything there was to know, even leading her to travel into other worlds. She traveled many parts of Africa, teaching others to defend themselves from the evil spirits. One day, she heard a call. The spirits tempted her to go to a city called Arkham in Massachusetts, United States of America, to fight a great evil that was brewing there. She got on a ship on her way to Arkham, and she felt a presence not of this world on the ship. She called on the spirits to guide her and eventually realized something was traveling on the ship with them, unbeknownst to everybody else. One night, while the sailors were drinking away their boredom, she went down below to the cargo deck. There, she found a corpse of a sailor on the ground near some crates from Egypt. As she investigated further, she came across a black mass, clearly sentient and primordial, oozing its way toward her. Akachi gathered her wits and recited an incantation which summoned a burst of flame, disintegrating the unnatural creature. She then staged an accident, ensuring the rest of the crew would not suspect the true fate of the dead sailor. Akachi is obviously of the Igbo religion from Nigeria. Their religion basically is to worship one major deity, and they believe that lesser spirits travel the world, speaking to some. A very spiritual religion, although Akachi thinks Christianity is the same as her religion, worshipping a single powerful god and believing angels and devils are just the names the Europeans call the lesser spirits. She has full conviction of her beliefs. She feels she is the protector of humanity, and she lives simultaneously in the spirit world and our world. She felt a call to Arkham to protect the people from a great evil that was brewing there. Akachi brings an interesting dynamic to the world of Arkham Horror. Unlike Father Mateo, who's confused by the existence of great old ones and worships a god kind of blindly, and Zoe, who blindly acts on the direction of what she thinks is a benevolent god, Akachi has witnessed aspects of her beliefs. Her spirits guide her. She's visited other worlds and dimensions, and she can even summon arcane magics to aid her. The implications are that her beliefs in spirituality are confirmed, at least partially, and she acts based on knowledge passed on from wise shamans that came before her, and does things based on practicality and not whether they align with her moral compass. In contrast, Mateo acts on pure faith of the old kind, acting in complete alignment with his moral compass, and Zoe acts based on voices that sometimes compel her to do things that sometimes don't align with her moral compass. Akachi basically comes from another world, at least that's how the citizens of Arkham must feel, and her presence in Arkham is kind of a counterbalance to the other things that come from another world that are currently growing there. Her understanding of the arcane is much more advanced than most of the other investigators, and it is fitting, as the citizens of Arkham have as much of an understanding of her culture as they do of the mythos of the great old ones. In Arkham Horror the card game, Akachi is a mystic with a 5 in willpower, a 2 in intellect, a 3 in fight, and a 3 in agility. That 5 in willpower is phenomenal, because her main cards all rely on that in order to be effective. Her special ability is your assets with charges interplay with one additional charge on them and her Elder Sign effect is a +1, and you can add 1 charge to an asset with uses charges on it as an ability that you control. She has a 6 in health and an 8 in sanity. Akachi is a very interesting mystic. She's probably the most pure mystic that you're going to be able to play in Arkham Horror, the card game. Father Mateo is a pure mystic as well, but his main stat is only a 4, whereas Akachi is a 5. And both of their deck building requirements are pretty much mystic cards and neutral cards. Akachi gets occult cards, but only level 0, whereas Father Mateo gets blessed cards 1, 2, I think 3. There aren't that many occult or blessed cards, so pretty much you're right now, as the card base stands, straight up mystic. To be honest, this is not a terrible thing, because mystic cards tend to be very versatile. You have cards that let you evade, let you investigate, let you fight, and let you do a bunch of other things like move around and have a ton of action economy, as well as manipulating the chaos bag and manipulating a lot of other aspects of the game. So being a straight up mystic is not a bad thing at all. Some may think initially that she might be pretty boring in terms of her deck building requirements, but overall I think that she is really good. The additional charge, believe it or not, makes a tremendous difference. And then add on top of that the Elder Sign ability that lets her add a charge. That does add up. You do pull Elder Signs throughout your gaming, and it definitely adds up. Her signature card is Spirit Speaker. This is an awesome asset. It lets you move your charges from your spells to your resource pool so you can gain more resources, but it also lets you, instead of doing that, if you wanted to, you can move that asset back to your hand. So if you run out of Shrivelings or Rite of Seeking, you can bump it right back to your hand and then play it again, regaining all the charges. This is huge. Now you can't do one or the other, so you can only do one or the other. So you can't take the charges off of it into your resource pool and then kick it to your hand. You're not allowed to do that. It's you either move the resources and discard the asset, or you bump it to your hand, and you can't move resources to your pool. Your signature weakness is Angered Spirits, and this one is kind of tough. It goes into your play area right away, and you have to use some of your spell charges to quell the spirits. You can do as many as you want in one round, so that's really good. If you finish the game and there's not at least 4 charges on this weakness, then you're going to take a physical trauma, which is tough because your physical capability is only a 6. So 1 physical trauma means you're starting next adventure or next scenario with only a 5, and it just goes down from there. So it can be tough if you don't overcome it quickly, but it's not terrible. As Akachi, you're going to be playing a lot of spells, so that means you're going to be having a lot of assets in play that have charges, and you'll be able to move them to this if it comes up in late game. Building a deck for Akachi should not be difficult. Pretty much you're looking for spells with charges, just spells in general, or any kind of mystic card that requires willpower in order to succeed. Her willpower being naturally high is a huge advantage in this. Of all the investigators, I think playing to her strengths is the biggest benefit of playing Akachi. I love the decorated skull on her, Holy Rosary, and I really like Quantum Flux. Being able to reshuffle the spells you've used up really seems to be a big benefit for her, and it's worked well for me in the past with her. I think with her, you can definitely pull off a very good combat character and decent investigator, for gathering clues and such. Overall, I think Akachi is a very strong investigator. I've played her many times. Actually, she's one of my favorites to play. You can use her to fight, you can use her to investigate because of all the spells that are available to mystics. And then her ability to get resource or to get charges on her spells means that those spells are not easily discarded. You have definitely a ton of options to be able to build her into a fighting machine or an investigating machine. Some cards that are really useful for her are like the Decorated Skull from Forgotten Age. That one's amazing, actually. I found on her. I use it in every Akachi deck now. Torrent is definitely huge as well, because you can use charges to boost your ability check for a specific spell check. And of course, all the spells with charges. So, Shriveling, Missive Relay, and Rite of Seeking, amongst others like Song of the Dead and a bunch of others like Astral Travel and all that. So all of those are really, really good in Akachi decks. Akachi is a phenomenal investigator. In fact, right now, she is my favorite mystic. I thought Father Mateo would be, but it ends up being her, and she is really, really cool. I highly recommend you play her. And the first Akachi deck that I built was inspired partially due to a website called riteofseeking.com by Brian David Sandberg. I highly recommend you check it out. He's got a ton of information on properly using Akachi, and it's something that I recommend if you're looking to build a deck around her. So that does it for today's video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Please like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave your comments down there. And I'll talk to you all real soon. I'm your daddy.